everyone, it's Hannah from Hand Jam Crochet, and today we are making this beautiful blanket using a crossover crochet stitch, which is really simple but really effective because it has the most beautiful texture and you can really play around with the colours. And then we're going to finish it off with a simple and modern single crochet border here. In the description below, I'll add all the links for where you can find the written pattern, and I have sized it into 15 different sizes of blankets, so you don't have to do any of the maths. To make the blanket, I used some of this Amigo yarn from Hobbii that I had in my stash. It's a lovely category 3, 100% acrylic yarn and comes in the most beautiful colours, but feel free to use the yarn of your choice. Along with the yarn, I used a 4.5mm crochet hook, and I also need a pair of scissors and a needle for my ends. So go grab your supplies and let's get making. To begin the crossover crochet stitch then, we are going to put a slip knot on the hook, and then as you'll see in the written pattern, we need to chain out a chain that's a multiple of 4 plus 3. So when you've got the chain the length that you need it to be, we're then going to start, just for this first row, we're going to work some single crochets just to give us a foundation to work on. And I'm going to work into the back bump of the chains here. And so I'm going to work the second chain along from my hook. There's a single crochet for it. And the next one, and then all of those chains get a single crochet in them. Now, if you prefer to work foundation stitches, then you can absolutely do that instead of this. If you'd rather work foundation single crochets, then go ahead and do that for your first row instead. So once you've completed row 1, we then need to turn our work, and row 2 is going to be the repeat for the entire centre panel. And what we're going to do is we're going to chain 3, and that counts as our first stitch. Then we're going to skip the next stitch. Then we need to work a double crochet in the next 1, 2, 3 stitches. So skip this one and now work a double crochet into the next 3. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to that first stitch that we skipped there, and we're going to work a double crochet into it. And we're going to do that by working over the top of these stitches that we just made. So you're going to go in, create a double crochet there, pull it up to meet the height of your row, and then complete your double crochet stitch. And that's our first crossover. Now next we're going to skip this next stitch and then work a double crochet in the next 3 stitches. So we have 1, 2, and here's 3. And then into that skip stitch, we're going to work across and a double crochet into there. So I angled down to make sure that I don't pull too tight. Scoop up from the back, pull right up so you've got lots of yarn there to come right across those stitches, and that's our next crossover stitch done. And we just keep repeating that skip, work 3 double crochet and then work back across into the skip stitch all the way until you get to the last stitch of your row. Now here I am at the end, and I'm going to work a double crochet in that last stitch that we have. But here I'm going to change colour because, as you see, I've changed colour for every single row for this, but you don't have to do that. But if you do want to change colour at any point, I would do it at the end of a row like this, where you're on your last yarn over, ready to then turn and work your next row. So I'm going to join my new colour of yarn here to complete that last stitch. I will turn, and then we're ready to continue. So we're going to chain 3, and you're going to work your rows in exactly the same way as we've just done. We're going to skip the next stitch, work into 3, and then work back across them. And here we are ready to work back over the top of them and into that first skip stitch that we have there. And you just carry on across the row up until you get to the last stitch, and that gets a double crochet in it. And that is all there is to it, to the center panel of this blanket and the crossover stitch. So if you want to follow the written pattern for the number of rows that I've recommended, or indeed just go for it and work the number of rows that you are then happy with, and then meet me back here and we will pop a border on. So when we have the number of rows that you need for your center panel, we're going to break our yarn, and then I'm going to recommend that you weave in all of your ends and block it lightly before we add our border. So go ahead and do that. And then when you're ready, we are going to join with the right side facing. So here we have the right side facing, although both sides look really, really nice. So you can choose whichever side you prefer. We are going to join to this first stitch here in our top corner and add your yarn in that you're going to use for your border. We're going to chain one, and let's jiggle that out of the way so we can see a bit easier. And all we're going to do is we're going to work a single crochet in each of our stitches all the way along. So do that all the way across the width of your blanket, and so your stitch count will be the same as the amount of stitches that you have in your blanket. And once you arrive at that corner, what we're going to do is chain one, and then working along the length of the blanket, as yours will be, we're going to go down the sides of these rows. And each of these sides of rows that are going to be either a chain three or a double crochet are going to get 2 single crochet worked into them. So I actually go around them. I said into them, but I went over them. I go over the top of them. So that's 2 for that first row, and then 2 for the second row, and then 2 for the third row, and so on. So work your way down this side of the blanket, and then when you get to this corner, we're going to do just what we did here. We're going to chain one, and then we're going to start working along this side. Now I'm ready to chain one, and then I'm going to start single crocheting across all this width, so what is now the bottom of the blanket for me. A single crochet in each of those stitches, so that's where our foundation chain was. Now here we are at this corner, and we're going to do just what we did before. We'll chain one, and then we'll work 2 single crochet into the side of each of our chain threes and double crochet stitches. And here we are back at the beginning. We just need to chain one, and then we're going to slip stitch into that first stitch to join, and that's our round one of the border. Now to continue, we're going to chain one but pull it nice and tight, and then we're just going to single crochet in each of our stitches up until we get to our chain one space in the corner. Then here we are at our chain one space, and into that chain one space we're going to work a single crochet, chain one, and a single crochet, and that gives us our new corner there. And then we just keep working around the side of the blanket here, working a single crochet in each of our stitches. And that, dare I say, is everything you need to know for the entire border. You're going to work a single crochet in each single crochet stitch, and then when you come to a chain one space in the corner, we work a single crochet, chain one, and a single crochet. And at the end of the round, you'll always just slip stitch into that first stitch to join. So the written pattern has suggestions for the depth of your border and how many rounds to work, but of course you can work as many or as few rounds as you like, and you can also change colour as many or as few times as you like. So just keep working your way around on this simple border, finish where you would like, and you are all done. I really hope you've enjoyed working this crossover stitch blanket with me. I would love to see what colour combinations you choose, what yarn you decide on, and which size of blanket you make. So do come and find me. I'm hand done crochet at all the places you would expect me to be, and I will see you again soon.